You've been working for 30 years on a job. The job is all you know. 30 years on a job. And they hire some outsider supervisor. No education. No skills. No communication skills. Straight off the street. To tell you what to do. A 30-year veteran. What do you do when something like that happens? He's writing you up. He's chastising you. He's telling you what to do, how to move, how to pee, how to use the restroom, how to do your job after 30 years of experience. It'll make you almost want to crack up. It'll make you scream. It might even make you commit suicide. So what is your next action? Do you retire? Do you stick it out? Do you cuss out the supervisor? Lower management will always get you. Because they're angry, because they're not higher management who looks down on them like crap. So what are you going to do? When you get off work, you might as well go ahead and scream. How do we get to this point where we're looking at somebody that we don't even know? A supervisor that we know nothing about. A guy from another department. A guy that could have been your next door neighbor, but you didn't even know it. A guy that could have lived around the corner from you. Let me explain something to you. They have upper management, middle management, and lower management. The upper management is usually the guy that they're helping into the chair. The main guy. The Don Corleone of management. You got the big time brass. Middle to upper management that comes in and everybody knows who they are. And you always see lower management come in last at the door. The guys that they have to frisk because you don't trust them.
I get nowhere unless the team wins.
Team.
Oh, Jesus Christ. You see, you got to understand what upper management thinks about lower management. Upper management would take a baseball bat to lower management anytime they want. That's how they feel. Because they don't feel lower management are qualified to even talk to them. So taking a baseball bat and knocking them out is something that upper management thinks about all the time. They don't want problems. They don't want you sending them any kind of problems because they feel like you should be qualified to handle it at your level. So when you try to go talk to them and ask them questions, they want to take a bat to you because they think you're scum. They think you're not educated to really be talking to them. Because if they feel that you can't handle small situations, then they just feel that you should just be eliminated out of this company. That's how upper management feels about lower management. And it's a shame it's like that, but that's the way it is in the world. Any kind of organization, you have different levels, different tiers. You have the upper tier and the lower. Now we're going to talk about the Napoleon complex. These are supervisors who have something to prove because they've been bullied most of their life. So they become supervisors just so people can stop bullying them. In any kind of authoritative position, police officers, security, management, you're going to see a lot of Napoleon complex people work there. Because it's a way that they can kind of get back at you. A way that they can say what they want to say without you being able to do anything. That's where you find a lot of Napoleon Bonaparte people there. So you ask yourself, well, why is this a growing number? The reason why it's a growing number is because there's so many people with emotional hangups in the world today. And they look and really try to find out how to deal with it. Because they don't want to keep getting beat up. No one likes that. So what do you do to fight back? You try to become a supervisor, or you become some kind of authoritative leader. Just like the real Napoleon. And that's the way they get away with it. And you can see it, the ego, the hand on the belt, the slick back hair, the way they carry themselves, an arrogant way they carry themselves. Because they know you can't touch them. Because if you touch them, you're going to get in a lot of trouble. That's why you see a lot of them in that type of position.
You? Well, why don't you tell Mr. Allen? Well, what do you think of him?
He's a pedantic, pontificating, pretentious bastard, a belligerent old fart, a worthless, steaming pile of cow.
Wait a minute, is that what you really wanted to tell your boss? I mean, he looks at you like, wow, was that worth it? I really liked that guy. But is that something you really want to tell him? Wouldn't it be something if you could just tell your supervisor what you really think about him? Unlike me, a lot of people don't like their supervisors. I actually like mine, but there are some people who think supervisors are scum. And they want to tell them something so bad, but they hold it in. I mean, they even walk with their supervisors and pretend like they're having a great time. But a lot of times, the supervisor is like your worst enemy when you wake up in the morning. Or you go to work. You put on a fake face because you just need to work and get through your 8-hour shift. But a lot of times when you're talking to upper management, a certain spirit comes through you because you want to impress them. And you want to leave a good impression because you never know, you might get that job that lands you up there with upper management. So you always want to keep that dream alive and don't ruin it. Now we get down to the nitty-gritty, the brass. We're going to talk a little bit about upper management. The chief himself, the big dog, the numero uno. Why is lower management so scared of him? Does he have anything to do with hiring and firing? Usually not.
Their message is peace.
Or are they always pissed off like this guy?
What's your message?
You don't believe that for 1 minute, do you?
That their message is?
Yeah.
That's what they said to me.
Okay.
Yeah, I believe them.
Any protests over the deaths of these cops today in Baton Rouge?
I don't know that.
Any riots or protests over the police officers in Dallas, Texas?
What are you asking?
It's a pretty simple question.
I asked you if what's your message to the people. Their message is one of peace. What is your message?
My message has been clear from day one 2 years ago. This anti-cop sentiment from this hateful ideology called Black Lives Matter has fueled this rage against the American police officer. I predicted this 2 years ago. So what I want to know.
Okay, Sheriff.
Do I want to know?
With all due respect, do you know that this was because of that?
Yes, I do.
As a law enforcement officer?
I've been watching this for 2 years. I predicted this. This anti-police rhetoric sweeping the country.
Now, are you going to listen to Elon Musk when he talks? This is the brass of the brass, the real upper management. Because, see, Elon Musk is not going to talk to lower management that much unless he walks into them in a hallway. So what is it to really be in charge? Because a lot of lower management, they talk to you like you're a slave, like they own you, like you're just a servant to fulfill their need.
Model 3,
He my nigga. He's rightly mozzarella nigga. Though he did give him to me to teach up, like he told me. All right. Billy, go over to Toby. You get him on his feet. You get him to work it, or I'll cut up the both of you. Oh, yes, sir. Oh, no. Yes, sir, Mr. Ames. Right away, boss.
And believe it or not, that's how a lot of lower management talk to you. Just like that. But upper management, they go through a little bit more different type of stress. They're up there with personnel, human resources. They're talking to a lot of people with a lot of education, with a lot of smarts. So they have to handle things differently. But when lower management talk to you, they kind of know that maybe you don't have a high education. So they talk to you like that. They think maybe your education is not high enough to understand what they're saying. So they can trick you with words. But sometimes lower management isn't educated either. And that person you talk to may be educated. It may surprise you. But usually upper management are the ones with the big degrees, the one with the doctorate degrees. So they reason with people a little differently than lower management does. But don't get me wrong, there's a lot of smart lower management, but they're not going to be there long. They're going to move right into upper management or to something else. But a lot of times, upper management, they don't want the hassle of dealing with lower management because that's just more work on their plate. More things they got to deal with. So when they're sitting in front of you, they want to talk to somebody on their level.
I think that we owe a big round of applause to our newest, bestest buddy and big toe, Sergeant Hulka.
Everybody, I want you to listen up because I'm going to talk about something very important right now. The 2+2 effect. Lower management. Where do they actually come from? Some of them come from someone like this. This is Gomer Pyle. These are people that mentally just ain't there, but they get pushed into a supervisor role. And when they're pushed there, it can be very dangerous to the infrastructure of a corporation because they may actually move up. You gotta understand, they come from a very tough life in the military. They've been through wars, combat, and from there, you spring them loose into a supervisor position. And a lot of times, when it's all over, they have to have brain surgery before they go out into the world. Because the trauma of going through war and all the things they've gone through, you have to examine their brain and see, are they fit to even go out and work? But not only are they fit, they're getting supervisor positions. So when that happens, you're in a lot of trouble. Because who are you sending out there to manage people? Are you sending somebody out there who's going to chew out a regular person, a worker, who's going to run up in their face and have a flashback? Who are you putting in these supervisor positions? Because when you release them, they're out like ants. They're out to get those jobs. And when they get them, they're on the move. Because that's what they're taught to do, is to move as far as they can. To put their infrastructure in a corporation. And what do you get? You get a lot of mentally ill supervisors who can hurt you. That's why you gotta be careful who you're putting in there. You could be putting a Gomer Pyle in there. You could be putting someone that mentally just ain't there. And this is serious, people. This is not a joke. Who's knocking on your door asking for that job? When you can get them in and they come to your door and ask for that raise or that position, you got to think. You just can't feel sorry for them and move them into that position. That's what a lot of times happens.
I'll tell you what you get. Call the police. Get what you fucking deserve.
Shocking. Shocking, shocking. We have to stop and think about what we're doing right now. All of us need to stop and take a look at what's going on. There's some great lower management supervisors out there. But the bad apples that are there makes everybody else look bad. And that could be a problem because eventually the bad apples always seem to promote more than the good apples. The good apples are always left in the dust. And it shouldn't be that way. This is Egg Dog 8. See you in the next video. Bye-bye.